Hello and welcome back. If you've been keeping up with the channel, then you may realize that I've already been working at StabilityAI for about 2 weeks. Thanks for all your well wishes. As such, I've had access to the preview version of Stable Diffusion 3 running through the SD3 Launchpad server on Discord. I've received permission to share images from it, and in this video, I will be testing out the functionalities of Stable Diffusion 3 that StabilityAI has focused on and improved. Namely, they are multi-subject prompts, image quality, and spelling abilities. Furthermore, I'm going to approach the usage of SD3 through the lens of a creator and a member of the generative AI community. I'll heavily stress test SD3 to see how it performs through a number of prompts and real-world creative situations. I'll start with the basic overview of the SD3 server and go over the prompt settings available to us as well as the new aspect ratios of the output image. Once we've gotten familiar with the logistics, I'll start doing all I can to break SD3 with respect to multi-subject prompts, image quality, and spelling abilities. After that, I'll challenge SD3 to semantic object placement, product design renders, and its ability to follow natural language prompting. Finally, I'll tackle some peripheral topics such as UI or HUD design, vector graphics, fashion photography, and architecture visualization. If you've been interested in the capabilities of Stable Diffusion 3 and would like a nuanced perspective from a creative as well as an engineer, let's get started. First, this is what the Discord server looks like. If you've used Midjourney before, this should feel familiar to you. Anyway, to use it, you join one of these SD3 bot channels. It's publicly shared so you can see what other people are generating as well. You might also notice there are SAI internal channels over here in the top left, and those are for Stability employees. So just for the people with purple names over here on the right, and I'm this person right here. To start generating images, you go to this message box down here, then type /dream. Once you do so, plus 4 more options on the right when you hover over it. Click on that. There you go, plus 4 more. To see the extra parameters, move your cursor out of the prompt box to the right. Then you can see high-res fix, style, aspect ratio, and negative prompt. I wanted to show this because there isn't classifier-free guidance or CFG, sampler settings, or steps. So we've got to work with what we got here for now. Before I start generating, I want to go over one last logistical thing, which is the output resolution sizes. They are pretty similar to SDXL resolution, but I'm not sure what the final released SD3 resolutions can go up to. Keep in mind that these are strictly from the SD3 Discord preview, and larger resolutions could be possible in the future. I have no idea. For now, here are some examples after I've selected one of the 4 output generations. With this one, we have a 1:1 aspect ratio, and the output images have a width and height of 1024 pixels. With a 4:3 aspect ratio, in this case, the images are at 1152 by 896 pixels. And at the widest ratio of 21:9, selected from one of these 4, we have 1536 by 640 pixels. However, SD3 also has some more new aspect ratios, so let's get to that. Once I got the hang of things, I started trying to recreate the keyframe from the Dune Part 2 movie where Paul Atreides is on top of the cliff leading the Fremen people. After dialing in the rough look, starting with a portrait size aspect ratio, I started getting into this version, square, then something like that, which is a little bit closer, and finally this one right here. I started with a portrait image and ended up with almost a cinematic one. If we go over to dream and aspect ratio, there are several selections. This is already a step up from previous models such as SD 1.5 where it was trained on 1:1 aspect ratio images, or SDXL where you have these resolutions. To get this kind of result, choose the 21:9 aspect ratio. This is roughly 2.333, and the cinematic aspect ratio is 2.35 to 1. For an initial survey, this was good enough for me, but you're free to go ahead and improve it if you want. One of the next experiments was trying to prototype a futuristic communication device that folds out laterally. This is what I ended up getting, which is much different from what I really wanted. And this was my prompt: a sleek futuristic communication device shaped like an L, folds out with a holographic screen, product design, render, etc. And I could not get this to work. This is what SD3 was giving me, and I'll show you what it should actually look like. These are some quick 5-minute sketches that I then put into SDXL Candy ControlNet and then upscaled with Superior. This is the base, and then on top of that it folds out like so. And then we have this telescoping design. So it folds out and then goes out 1, 2. And then lastly, the renders look something like this. We have this base one, which looks pretty good. And then you fold it out, and this is the basic mock-up. This idea came to me because I used to have this butterfly knife that I played with for fun as a teenager, and then it can fold out very quickly. So you snap it out, and then you have a holographic screen in the center. It's supposed to be a communication device. As such, since the design is pretty complex, it's very difficult to caption. So let's go back to the SD3 Discord channel and see what happened when I tried to describe this to the bot. And this is the first try. None of these looks like it folds out like an L. Maybe this third one has a case for it, but not really. And then we have this one down here. This kind of is like a foldable, but what I want it to be is laterally or sagittally. So I don't know how easy it is to describe this. After those experiments, I wanted to try out another new feature, which was the text functionality of SD3. Spelling qualities is the last new functionality they're speaking about. If you look at this announcement for SD3, you can see this Yen Sid looking wizard drawing out the words Stable Diffusion 3 in the sky in front of him. Normally, we would perform this pretty easily with ControlNet, but if the claim for text generation rings true, this will save a lot of time. So let's get to trying that out. So the one on top here is the first trial, like this, and my text selected was welcome to D-Town. Welcome to down, welcome D-Town, D-Town 2. It's not perfect, and it only achieved what it set out to do in one example, this one up here top left. All the other ones are missing letters or rearranged incorrectly. In addition, on this experiment, I pressed on this restyle button right here, and it gave me this craft clay, so kind of like, I don't know, Wallace and Gromit style. Once again, we have a welcome to D-Town in the bottom left, another one welcome to D-Town, and then these top two failed. However, I would say this is a pretty big achievement because in the past, SD 1.5 and SDXL probably could not do text at all. So I would say, yeah, not bad, not bad. Going back to the SD3 website once again, we see that there's a second claim which states that multi-subject prompts are greatly improved. But are they really? Let's find out. For this prompt, I have a full body character design of a female puppeteer, etc., but I do want other things in the background. So I said various futuristic, sleek androids of different sizes being controlled by her. Let me open this up in the browser for a closer look. Here we are. This top left one doesn't have any figures in it. This bottom left one has some. This one has 2 of them. You may remember this is kind of like a byproduct. If you stretch it in one direction, you might have repeating characters. I believe that's what's happening here. And then this top right one, I didn't test out the multi-subject functionality in the sense that I'll have 2 main characters or 3 main characters. And this is the second one. So once again, pretty similar, nothing much going on here. To test the multi-subject prompt, there was a second user that was trying this out down here right after me. He or she was trying out this couple shot, I think. So 28-year-old Korean male and a 26 Korean female. This is what it looks like. It's up to you what you think, but not bad, I would say. And then trying it again, maybe some kind of K-pop thing going on here. Let's go ahead and mimic this prompt. This time I have a picture of 3 friends, 28-year-old Korean male, 26-year-old Korean female. I changed their outfits, and then I added a third person, a Korean female with long blonde hair. Based on what we saw before, a 2-person shot should work. What about a 3-person shot? All of them in the foreground. I don't know about you, but This first one is what I envisioned. This one, the position of these two women are switched. This is right, and this one has 4 people. Let's open this up in the browser just to see it better. So yeah, looks good. Fine. Switched order. Yeah, and here you go. I believe that this claim of multi-subject prompts is doing pretty well. On a side note, if you're interested in what multi-subject prompts look like for pure anime, then here are some that I came across. This one was prompted with 7 people in the style of Yuyushiki. Just take a closer look. They seem okay and pretty similar. This next one by the same person was prompted with the manga or anime Yuragiso no Yuna-san with an unspecified amount of characters. I thought this one turned out poorly relative to the previous prompt. So it looks like if you're more specific with the amount of people you want in your image, you could get a better result. Note that on this top right one, the faces are kind of messed up, and in this left one, the proportions or scale of the rest of the background characters is way off. This is likely a whole new experiment in of itself, so I won't fall into this rabbit hole. Although this is all well and good, these 3 people are in a static standing pose or hugging pose. What if I want to have 2 people fighting each other in like some kind of animation scene? So let's go ahead and figure that out. Over here is kind of the composition that I want to go for. This is from the Fate's Day Night Heavens Feel 3 at the end when Medusa is fighting Saber. You have 1 person in the foreground, 1 person in the midground or background, and this kind of collapsing environment. I've input my prompt here while changing some of the details. Let's go ahead and run it. We have something like this. This upper right one looks pretty good. This right column looks very good. Let's go ahead and blow it up. Here we are. Yeah, so let's go back, look at this. Yeah, someone in the foreground, someone in the background. Yeah, not bad, not bad. Let's also take the time to restyle this. Remember that I said if you go right and exit out, you can select more options. This time let's go to style and choose, why not anime? Let's check it out. Yeah, I would say this is okay, but I would want more of a further shot. Let's see if I can change that. Like that. What I did was change it to a very far shot instead of medium. These do look pretty good, I would say. Let's check them out in more detail. I really like top left one. Actually, all of them are good except this bottom right one. Yeah. Very nice. So I would say that I'm convinced with the multi-subject generation. Please recall that this is still the preview and training is always continuing. Before we move on to the next part, I want to just verify this image quality. I've already tried out the other 2, so let's go back to Discord. Coincidentally, at the time where I received SD3 preview access, there was the tragic event of the cargo ship incident in Maryland. However, I also thought this would be a good test case to see if SD3 could reproduce the scene of the disaster. If it could, that would be kind of dangerous as misinformation would become greatly facilitated. If you read the report or watch the video, it occurred at night. This was my initial test, and this is with the night view. I think it's pretty difficult for it to be in the proper perspective. In the case of all of these examples, either the bridge is too big or the bridge is too small. The cargo ship is not properly stacked. There should be much more cargo. So I think for the time being, we're safe, but maybe not in the final release of SD3. Alright, let's go ahead back to the communication device. Although it wasn't able to perform well in that certain situation, it did make me think of the futuristic world I was envisioning in my mind. So I tried generating some establishing shots as well as product or industrial design photography. Let's start with the industrial design. This is the octopus with text added. I wanted the text Octo AI to come through, and it seems that it is coming through on 3 of them. 75% success rate, pretty good. I don't know if you're convinced, but this does look pretty good to me. However, I wanted to handle another use case here, which is product placement. Oftentimes, you want to specify a location in your image where you want your object of focus to be. In the past, SD 1.5 and SDXL both struggled with semantic placement. So let's try art directing composition relative to the rest of the image. What I'm saying is that I want a futuristic heart in the upper left corner. Since we have a rectangle, and if you divide it into the rules of thirds 3 by 3, it should be in the top left corner. Let's see if that happens. It's returned and it's in the center. How do we get around this? Maybe put top left corner. Let's change the prompt a little bit more. Not sure why this isn't working. And no, nothing is going to the top left corner. This is my third try. I'm saying object placed in top left corner. I'm not sure if these brackets work. We can add them. It's still just straight up center images. We can try other ones. So let's change it to photograph of a cybernetic futuristic heart placed in the top left corner of a table. So it's failed once again. It seems like we can't control the placement of objects yet. I will try one more time. It's back, and yes, we cannot place objects where we want them. So this should be pretty irksome to product designers who want a quick render, but also want that photographic composition, choosing where they can put objects. I don't know how or if this is going to be trained into the final version, but as of now, it's not working. In the context of people, it seems to have worked, but not here. In addition, if we also go back here, I was trying to envision these images, a city on the water, and each of these petals of a lotus will have another ward or sub-prefecture in them. The one that I was impressed with the most is this second one, or top right image. So we can go ahead and open these up. This is just the anime restyle. I didn't really like this that much. So here we are, and this top right one, not that clear, but I really like this idea where it kind of sinks beneath the ocean as well. And you have these individual spires and then one leading one in the center. So you could say this is the far view and this would be a close-up of the inside, something like that. With that in mind, I wanted to start generating the thumbnail for this video. Since we don't have control net, we have to purely do this by words only. Here we go. This is my initial generation. Kind of like this idea of being in the sky. Kept going. This top right one started to become the inspiration for the rest of the images. Some of these are very cool, and I brought in the Lotus City in the rest of these. And then after that, I just kept playing around and eventually settled on this top left one, or these kind of aesthetics where there's a teal hue, some split toning with very minimal sepia. Eventually I started trying out using the cinematic styler. So if we do a good dream here and go to style here, you can check out cinema or cinematic. There you go. And this prompted me to start doing some other tests. If you do end up choosing to use the cinematic filter, you can see here style cinematic, and it brings up an image like so. There's a vignette and the colors are more or less in one hue or split toned. We can compare with the non-cinematic one right here. The values are a lot more visible. We don't have very dark darks or very bright brights. In the spirit of that, let's continue. While we're on the topic of cinematography, I want to use SD3 to recreate scenes from media that I like. And my references are going to be from this website named ShotDeck. This really helped me a lot when I was doing concept art. It's a subscription-based service, but if you sign up right now, you get a 2-week free trial. Anyway, I've curated a deck here already with keyframes that have left a big impact on me. You might recognize some of them from media such as Dune, The Creator, Hannibal, and Across the Spider-Verse, among others. At the same time, I also want to try out a not so well-known feature of SD3, which is natural language prompting. This is the paper, and if you read it, I don't blame you if you didn't, it's quite a difficult read. There is an improved captions section. Using a 50-50 mixing ratio of synthetic via Cog VLM and original captions improves text-to-image performance. In essence, if you've been keeping up with Stable Diffusion or diffusion models in general, the tags have always been Lion generated, separated by commas, or Voodoo style tags if you're talking about anime models. However, when training SD3, they used Cog VLM captions, which is basically a multimodal text and image model to caption something. So you can think of Cog VLM as similar to Lava. I've used Lava 1.5 before in a separate video, so if you want to understand more about that, you can watch that or some other people's videos. This time, I've set up a very quick Ollama server to host Lava 1.67b, and the one I'm using is the Mistral version. I believe it's this this one might be different, but one of these, let me show it. I've already installed Ollama, and this is the command to run that model. So enter, and it'll start up a server at a specific port, like 114 something something, but I can just say hi, and yes, it's working. To send my image over to Ollama, I'm using this ComfyUI wrapper written by Sap. He created this really nice wrapper where it'll make an API call to the existing port over here. So 11434, the prompt is describe the image. So let's go ahead and try it out. Let's start off with the first image, which is of Fade Rotha or Austin Butler as Fade Rotha. And we're going to use a show text, just following the example from GitHub. I set this model to this name, make sure the model matches up. Run Q prompt. This should give me a description, and it does. The image appears to be a digital manipulation or an artistic creation featuring a person with a shaved head. Profile, not in profile. Partially obscured by metallic robotic mask that's not right. However, let's just go with what we have here for now, even though it may be wrong. Remember, the goal is to see if natural language actually works in ST3. So select all of that. So I would say that it is understanding natural language very well. I assume that's because it was trained on Cog VLM captions, which gives something similar like this. So we can try to get this even more closer to Fade Rotha by going back to the Shot Deck website. One reason why I like to use this website is if you click on the image here, it gives you tags, bald black background, etc., chiaroscuro, and just copy that, put that into Discord. I've replaced the natural language prompt with just these tags from Shot Deck, and let's see which one is more accurate. So the angle is better, but it's in color. Unfortunately, while we have these tags, natural language is actually doing quite well. This is not the complete story with the tags, but this captured something way better. Why don't we continue with this train of thought and try the next one, which is when Paul is leaving Caladan. Here we are once again, and just connect this new image in and get our new prompt. Okay, so the image appears to be a split screen photograph. Not sure if that's right. I'm not going to question it and just run it and see how close we get to this. It's obviously not a split screen photograph, but it is getting pretty close. So if I remove that part of the prompt, something like that, I'll just change it to photograph. And I want to try one more thing, which is using the tags from Shot Deck. So we have this back to camera, bay, cliff, depth of field, etc., etc. And I'll put that at the very front of the prompt. So let's go back here, put this right there, and then have all that natural language stuff. There we go. Hopefully it's not a split screen photograph. Somehow have this split again, maybe because it's left side, right side. But we do have this bottom left one, which is pretty good, I would say. If we compare or put them side by side, there, here. It's not perfect, but you can put in a lot of work to try to get what you want. But with just mediocre or even poor prompt, you're getting close. Here you also have a floating vehicle or ship, and this one as well on the right. Let's try this image next. So Miles and Gwen, and right after she betrays him discreetly, and describe this for me. It correctly identified it as an animated film or series. I'm not sure if it's going to pick up that they're upside down. Yeah, that might be pretty hard, but let's try it. And I'm also going to replace anime with realistic. Yeah, so it's classified as not safe. I don't know what's going on, but you can see the first-hand effect of censorship. I'm trying to find out why it's not going through. The boy is on the left and the girl is on the right. Maybe if I change this to male and female? Nope, it's still classified as not safe. However, I'm glad this happened because it gives you a sense of where the censorship is right now. So I modified the Across the Spider-Verse prompt a little bit. I re-queued it in ComfyUI to get a new prompt, and I removed mentions of Disney and young or boy or girl, something like that. This looks pretty good, I would say. We can go ahead and compare with the original. So I'll open this up in the browser. Here we are, like so. We don't have the correct hair color for Gwen, and this is what it should look like. So not that close, but it's saving us a lot of time. Yeah, not bad. Let's go ahead and try this image now, which is probably Hannibal cooking up one of his people. If we look at the description here, it seems like the chef will be in picture. I can already see this not working out too well, but let's go ahead and try it. The chef is in frame. However, in the original image, not the output, the chef is not in frame. Only his hands are. And also the lighting is off. Maybe we can improve it a little bit more by copying over the tags I did before. Go over here, copy this over, but I doubt this is going to do anything. Press up arrow and just append this to the very beginning. Maybe it will cut out the person because it's pushing the order down. I doubt it. Yes, so adding those tags had no change. All right. Lastly, let's try out this frame from the creator. I really like this one. Bring it into Comfy and see what this is all about. Once again, it's saying that it's a composite of 2 photographs. This is clearly wrong. I don't know why it keeps doing that. Maybe when we put in a widescreen 2.35 by 1 aspect ratio image, it defaults to a tiling read-in by the VLM or multimodal LLM. So if I put this into Discord, I believe that I will get a composite of 2 photographs again, which is not ideal. Bring it out. It said it's a composite of 2 photographs and it gives us 4 images. If we remove that, we should probably get something better. I'll just remove all the words that have photograph or replace them. Okay, so it's output. I don't know about you, but this looks pretty good. However, the person is on the left. Did I say that? Actually, I'm implying that it should be on the right, but it is saying it's on the left. We can open up in the browser and take a better look. It does look pretty cool. Here we are. Nice. But it doesn't feel very realistic. Feels more like an oil painting or a matte painting. The original image is also kind of like an oil painting, I would say. This background is definitely matte painted on or composited on. You can see the grain, so it looks fine for me. Next up, I'm going to try out user interface or head-up display designs, or more commonly known as UI or HUD. This is an often overlooked part of concept design, but very important as well. At first, I tried recreating the Pokemon UI. So you can carry a max of 6 Pokemon, and they should show up similar to this image. However, when I was prompting, this is what I gave it, a pixel screen. So we're also trying out the pixel art. And then first 3 Pokemon on the left column and 3 other Pokemon on the right column. I was giving it a 21:9 aspect ratio. This might have been the issue, and it wasn't able to reproduce what I wanted. And on the second try, I had this, not much changed either. So let's go ahead and try with a smaller aspect ratio as well. There you go. And still, we're not able to put them 3 on one side and 3 on the other side. At least we tried. To add on to UI design, I saw some people trying to generate Magic the Gathering card backs, like so, and they looked very, very nice. Especially the ones down here, kind of like first or second edition aesthetic. So if you wanted to go ahead and create your own collectible card game like this person did, feel free. This is my preliminary prompt for the HUD. So what I'm thinking is that it should be from the point of view of someone inside a helmet and looking out, having various things on the screen. However, I'm not sure if this will be able to do it. We want to look out from the inside of the helmet. So only the 4th one or the top left one kind of looks like it, and then this top right one and bottom left one have it portrayed on the screen. So how do we get a first person view? I'm going to change this to first person view. This time I'm pretty sure that I described it accurately. However, I don't know what the foundational model was trained on regarding the captions. Okay, so we improved it a little bit more. This top right one is what I'm thinking of, but I think it's still having quite a difficult time. Even on the bottom right one, you could just extract this and then copy that, space out, and then put it on a layout. Maybe try this and change it to layout. We can change the environment as well to like urban. Okay, now we're talking. All of them, except maybe this bottom left one, have given us something very, very cool. So after a few tries, I got closer to what I wanted. However, I would say this doesn't really make that much sense to human beings, but I guess to the SD3, they understand it quite clearly. This was another kind of visualization task I gave it. This looks pretty good as well. Now that you've seen what the HUD looks like, you'll need to construct 2D assets to port over into your motion designer software such as After Effects. HUDs are composed of individual vector assets, usually in SVG format. I've gone ahead and generated some of these assets as images, so you have these as a sheet you can look at, pick one out, deconstruct it, trace over it. This is the second one. Despite it being in a rasterized image format such as JPEG or PNG, you can convert them into SVG icons in Adobe Illustrator using image trace. So this could instantly improve your motion graphics development pipeline very quickly. In the spirit of SVG and vector icons, I started generating some of these just to see how it would look, and I really like what it was suggesting here. This, these, and lastly these two. So depending on your taste, this could definitely replace Illustrator artists very quickly. Before I finish up, I want to show some more real-world photography of people and maybe some architecture visualization. I played around with some of these fashion runway prompts. My first attempt, and you can already see that there's some diversity when I don't specify the ethnicity of the person. Then I started exploring a little bit more here with masks and hakamas, and then this time I added in some backgrounds like that. And then I had some prompts from people in my Discord who wanted to see what this prompt looks like. I don't know what some of these words are, but this is maybe some haute couture photography, and this one as well. Humorously, there are some comments about these images skewering too closely to the Russian influencer aesthetic. That's up to you to decide. I don't really go on Instagram at all. Also, Raf provided an example of what the prompt looks like on SDXL using the base model and Juggernaut with his own style lauras. And if we do a little comparison, the SD3 images more or less kind of look better. According to his professional photographer opinion, they are looking better, albeit a little bit biased towards certain ethnicities. And here are some other ones that I was trying, just cyborgs or machines. You could say that they're a piece of architecture themselves. Here I tried going with something abstract. I really liked how these were turning out. This is one of them, the interior of a building with lots of arches, very classical design. And now we can do something a little bit more different. So I think this is a cyberpunk pagoda. This kind of already looks like something out of East Asia. And now I want to show some architecture that is made out of massing, so organic massing. Maybe something like a hospital. It's done. This looks pretty cool. And we can just change one more thing about it. Instead of evangelical, it is too religious. And add maybe something like by Zaha Hadid and Ian. You can see that it changed a lot. Especially this bottom left one is extremely Zaha Hadid-y. So there we go. Overall, I think Stable Diffusion 3 is the natural evolution of diffusion models. It does deliver on its claims, but of course, from the empirical experiments, it's not perfect. While it flounders in situations such as controlling the placement of subjects, object complexity, and image believability, I did come away with an overall positive impression. Furthermore, I believe that the community will come up with terrific improvements, as always, once SD3 is released. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you all next time. Bye!